Greetings, fellow investigators. Welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Our campaign is The Curse of Nineveh. It was written by Mike Mason, Mark Latham, Scott Dorward, and Paul Fricker, and it's available from the Chaosium website. I'm the GM, and this is episode 40. Our investigators are involved in a plot to kill the king. So without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. All right, guys.
Now, where we start, has the ceremony at Buckingham Palace happened yet? Is he now the king, or is he still the...
He becomes the king tomorrow morning, and then the ceremony is sometime in the evening. Or the next day.
Yeah, I think he was... I think Wednesday is supposed to be the coronation, and Thursday is when he comes to the museum.
Correct.
And it's Tuesday night now, Tuesday evening at some point, after a very busy day. Yes, Patrick, you have a thought?
When we last left off, we believe that Felix Matthews' place is now compromised, right? Because we left blood on the doorstep.
I think it's a reasonable concern, yes.
It might be worth swinging by, because if he did have a ton of ammunition downstairs.
We took all the booms that he had. We took all the dynamite and...
Yeah, we didn't take all the extra bullets and shotgun shells, because we could possibly use those.
Well, I thought we did. I thought we picked up as much as we could out of there.
We took a duffel bag.
Okay, so we might have some there. All right. That'll help with one of the other plans we were working on.
Which of us do you think has a better relationship with Yates? You probably do, because you're a man and you have seniority.
I believe so, yes.
Why don't you phone Yates and convivially ask him what preparations are being made because of the rush job with opening the temple, and see how soft a touch he might be. Because I really would like to get in to see, like to get into the vault where they're holding the grotesque statuette that we must not touch, and the tablets of shadow.
All right. What time would I be able to get in touch with Yates at the museum at this time?
In the evening, his counterpart is there. You could probably phone the museum, and they could give you Yates's private line so that you could, in case of emergencies.
I'm not even sure we've left the museum.
Oh, you're still in the museum?
I think we're in Patrick's office.
Oh, I was thinking we were in the
if memory serves.
Well, let's see. What time is it? If it's past 6, then he's gone home. But you could find his home address.
It seems like it must be past 6 because the explosion was today. Today is, we're playing the day of the garden party, or was it the next day? Good heavens, time is dilated.
Oh, it would have to be the next day.
It's the next day. Yes, we all collapsed yesterday after the garden party. This is the day after, and the regime has changed. Right.
We could. So what time? Yates is gone then, correct?
Correct.
Okay. We could take a walk by the safe, check it out. Maybe if we want to get in touch with him, do you think if we told him we were a little panicked with the king's interest in this and we need to get in there to check something, maybe the other guy will fall for that?
You mean Mr. Whitehead might believe it?
Yeah, the second security guard, Yates is kind of...
Oh, Yates is evening guy.
Kind of go to him in a panic.
We have a good reputation, or this group has a good reputation with him. They, after all, are the ones who discovered the tunneling into the museum. Yep. That was a night job and saved his tuchus.
And we need him to help save ours because we got to double check cataloging things. We could all get into there, maybe get into the thing, and we could. Well, we're going for a tablet or a scroll. I'm sorry.
The tablet.
That's not as easy.
It's the shadow tablets. I could go down to my workshop and see about fabricating a false one if if it looks like there's an opportunity to get in there.
What we could do is you have something, we'll get some sort of tablet, whatever it is. He won't know how to read it. He won't even know what's on it.
No, we have so many
Right.
cuneiform tablets in the cellar. It's uncanny.
We could grab one.
They all look the same to him.
This needs to go in. This needs to come out cataloging before the whole event, because if we don't do it, we're in trouble.
Right, there's been a dreadful mistake. We could even forge paperwork if he needs it.
Yep.
Oh, I think that's very clever.
So let's get all the parts together, and then we'll approach him. And we'll approach him as a group in a, even with a little alcohol in our breath, because we're trying to steady our nerves and everything's going wrong. And
yes, a sense of urgency and some paperwork and some clay tablets should intimidate any fellow who doesn't know what's afoot. I like it very much.
Perfect. All right, so we'll get that ruse together.
All right.
And there's all kinds of, I can get different notes and bits of translation and choose a stack of tablets that are probably about the sale of barley and spelt in 4000 BC.
Yep.
Well, you are quite correct in knowing that Yates wouldn't know one bit of cuneiform from another. For that matter, even if people went to retrieve the tablets, they wouldn't necessarily know that they didn't have.
No, unless Nabu himself goes.
I just suddenly had a vision of them standing in the temple, raising up the tablets and beginning to read. 2 loads of laundry, 3 barrels of, what the hell is this?
And 42 sheep were exchanged. And a fine ram. And 4 tons of sweet oil.
It's a list of things to do. It's a to-do list from 4,000 years ago. All right, so what are you guys doing?
It shouldn't take 20 minutes to put together a convincing-looking folder of important-looking paperwork and 3 clay tablets, or whatever number will match, because that's on record.
Indeed.
And Munden, just grab an arbitrary statue, because that statue needs to be cataloged too. So it won't go into the safe, but it's just extra fluff to look like we're busy. This needs to be done. That has to be in there. The king's going to check. We're going to lose our job. Oh, my God, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. I'll do that. Yes, quite so.
It's good
All
work.
right.
We get all that together, and then collectively
We can phone from your office. And probably his security office is not far away, so we can rush down there and wave a lot of this paperwork. I've got some very fine handwriting on this old sheet here. And
actually, if we ask him to meet us, because we don't want to speak in front of his subordinates, thus putting him in a bad position also.
I think that's very good as well. Patrick, you're learning a bit of subterfuge, it seems.
A little bit of Felix must have rubbed off.
Quite.
So I'm going to phone the security desk and have them locate.
Phone the security desk. All right. You phone the security desk. Security.
Hi, this is Patrick London. I need to speak with the supervisor in charge tonight.
Yeah, and I forget his name.
Yeah, that's
I was flipping through, but I couldn't find it either.
Just a moment. This is Mr.
Hi, this is Mr. Longden. I believe you remember
Professor.
me.
Of course.
Yes. It's a delicate matter. I don't want to speak around any subordinates. Can you kindly come to my office at your first opportunity?
Certainly, I'll be there in about 5 minutes.
Thank you very kindly. Click. Leave the door ajar, so when he comes, he can just tap on it.
All right. 5 minutes go by and he taps on the door.
Audrey, I understand, but if everything works out, we're not going to lose our jobs. The king will not be. Oh, I'm sorry. Come in.
Oh, yes, sir. You wanted to see me.
And I hand her my handkerchief.
Thank you, Patrick.
This
Is there something wrong?
Yeah, extremely delicate. With everything that happened in that explosion and the anarchist attack the other day, although she thinks it's her fault, it rests solely on my shoulders. We forgot to catalog something. The king's going to be here in a day. We need to have this stuff cataloged. Monday, that statue, please remember, don't put it on the desk. It's coming with us.
No, quite so. Yes.
I need to ask you a most delicate thing. We need to get into the safe. We need to put these items in. We need to take one item out, finish.
You see, these tablets are dated very specifically from the 1903 expedition, which is why they were miscatalogued for the previous ones, which are currently on totally the incorrect things for the opening. And of course, we had so many weeks before we were supposed to open the temple, but now that it's in a hurry and the king himself is going to be there.
And we technically shouldn't have been in that country at the time, and it could look badly on the new king because he allowed it to happen, and he's coming for the. It could be a travesty. We just need your help, please.
Well, wasn't this statue supposed to be in there 2 weeks ago?
Gentlemen,
that one's got to go in after we catalog it.
Yes. Quite.
I'm afraid I don't have access to the vault. This is something that seems to me is extremely urgent to you. I can get a hold of Mr. Yates.
I'd appreciate that very much. Mr. Yates is an understanding fellow, and you know, it's really it's all about, you know, black eyes for us, black eyes for the museum, and even heaven forfend for the prince
Leave
himself.
it up to me. Leave it up to me. I'll be back as soon as I find something out.
We would like, we know Mr. Yates too. We would like to keep it within this circle of trust because
of course
I don't want any.
Oh, Mr. Yates is most discreet. I wouldn't worry at all, Patrick. Isn't
So
he most
leaves.
discreet?
He leaves.
All right,
What you gonna do
fingers
next?
crossed.
I pour us all a little glass of sherry.
Most kind, thank you.
I do beg your pardon, Mr. Munson, for speaking to you like that in front of him.
No. Think nothing of it.
All right. Do you do anything in the interim while he's gone?
If there's anything I can forge on the paperwork that makes it look convincing, or a switcheroo, we have access to our files, so there might be something.
You doubt though that he would even know what to look for on the paper.
Sure.
He's security.
The only thing would be a question of like invoice numbers or something like that, if I thought that something was specifically tagged. But we would know how all that works, so
right.
We have ledgers.
I would say 10 minutes goes by. And he comes back upstairs and he says, Mr. Yates is deeply concerned that about the recent damage done to the museum. And he says that he takes his job extremely seriously and that he has no intention ever of compromising the security of the museum for any reason whatsoever. That being said, here are the keys. He left them in his office.
Thank you, sir. I will have them back. Do you want me to give them to you or put them back in?
Please bring them back to me. Yes, sir.
10 minutes, 15 minutes tops.
And we'll pretend like none of this ever happened, including Mr. Yates, who doesn't want anybody to know that he accidentally left the keys in his office.
Copy.
So I'll be in my office.
All
right.
That was a scary feint there.
Yeah.
All right. So, again, we must be inordinately cautious regarding the two-headed statue of Nabu.
Don't touch it, right?
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything that looks remotely like that we could replace it with. So we might leave that since we don't want to touch it, don't want to claim responsibility for it, don't want it to destroy our souls, and replacing it is only going to slow things down a little bit, whereas taking the tablets out is going to slow things down and give us a chance at a different intervention. So whatever I could find that looks as much like the tablets of shadow is what's going to go in its place. What else is in this vault? Just this and that expensive stuff.
Yeah, other stuff from the other pieces that are valuable, but heretofore nobody's mentioned them. They're probably not really part of the ritual at all.
Sure.
What you find are 4 tablets. 2 of the tablets are the ritual of walking darkness, and the other 2 are the ritual of blood and light. The first 2 are the ones that Bolethius Ginger had, and the second 2 are the ones that he wanted to complete or supposedly save himself from.
Sorry, what kind of light?
The ritual of blood and light.
Blood and light. Walking darkness and blood and light.
When I have a chance, I want to have when we're out of there, I want to have a peek at those, see if what's going on with those particularly.
Oh yeah, we'll be looking at those and seeing if we can translate them as soon as we're safely out of this.
So are you taking all 4 tablets?
Replacing all 4 tablets with the most convincing looking cuneiform in terms of size, color.
All right.
Are they clay or stone?
They're clay. But they're fairly thick. They're fairly thick and substantial. You've had them in your hands before. Oh, you haven't actually, have you?
Well, actually, Audrey did before they were taken.
Oh, that's true.
They were in Audrey's workshop before anything happened.
That's right.
In a basket or something. So yeah, so Audrey had the possibility of choosing a likely looking set to replace them.
And there's lots of them that look just like it.
Right.
All right. And what are you going to do with them?
So we leave the statue in its place. I wonder what statue Munden picked up as a prop. Might be funny to leave another statue in there. Just, it won't be confusing for Naboo, but whatever we can do to muck things up for tomorrow night.
How about this one of Pazuzu?
Yeah, let's leave a Pazuzu in there. Maybe it'll shake things up. Maybe it'll protect something.
Right, so prominently, or should I put it subtly?
I put it watching over Naboo.
Yeah.
Yes, quite so.
It's remarkable how quickly we get used to magical thinking once we live in a magical world. So I think we should, having retrieved the objects, I'll take them to my office before we leave and prepare them to get out of here. Patrick, you should return the keys to Mr. Pratt, Deputy.
Yep.
And ask him about security around the temple so that if we want to place some explosives, we have an idea about the schedule for that. Okay. If you just ask him whether he's got men on overnight, because we need to replace things in the temple as well,
right? When
it's convenient. As soft pedal as possible, see what you can get out of him about what the security is like. And then we'll all depart with the tablets in a satchel so that we are not stopped.
All right. So
sounds good.
Then where are we going to meet? At the club?
We can take them to the club.
All right. So you two just get out with them, and then I'll take a taxi to the club. That way you're gone with them while I'm talking with him.
Very well. And yeah, very well. Good luck, Patrick. We'll see you there.
Godspeed.
All right.
I go down, return the keys.
And chit-chat with him. About the only bit of information that you've got is that the king is going to have his own guards. He wants to view the temple. The guards will go in with him. And we're told that he has an expert who will be assisting him although we don't know who it is.
Now, I tell them that we coming up to the preparation, we're gonna be in and out of the museum. Will we be restricted in any way?
Well, this is going to be Thursday evening. You shouldn't be here anyway.
Okay.
Certainly, if you need to do work, you can stay in the museum, and you shouldn't.
I could be in my office, correct? That wouldn't be a
Oh
problem.
yes, you shouldn't be in any trouble. Actually, I take back what I said a moment ago. What would make sense is that they would, if the king was coming with somebody, they would be on a list. And he says there's only one person on the list, Mr. Elphinstone,
All right.
and this will be King Edward the Eighth when he comes.
Right.
God save
So
the king.
we would be allowed to be in our office even when the king is here.
Yes, I believe so.
All right, just that way that the workflow can stay steady. We've been in and out umpteen hours until he leaves. We're on duty, basically. You know how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I kill some time so they could get out the door.
Yeah, they're gone.
All right. And then bid them farewell.
And then later on, 20 minutes later, you guys meet up at the club. I assume in the upper room.
Yeah.
All right. You've got the cuneiform tablets. Who wants to decipher them?
Well, the notes should contain some bits about the walking darkness,
Mm-hmm.
because they sort of had to reverse engineer that.
Right.
So we can both work on the blood and light, since we don't have anything on that yet.
All
I
right.
think all three of us have cuneiform, don't we?
No, that's true. Oh yeah, not
Yeah.
both, all three.
Right.
Send
Well,
up some coffee, Sykes.
that should shorten your time considerably. They're not that complicated. In fact, for just a moment, you get a kind of a terrified chill when you realize that the first part of the ritual of walking darkness and the ritual of blood and light are like lists of items that you will need. And you think, oh no, I got a washing list or like this. But then you realize these are ingredients for creating things. Nothing seems that obscure. But it'll probably take you a few hours to pull together such items that you need, because you're basically creating a kind of a potion which you ingest while reciting an incantation that's written on the scrolls, on the tablets.
Okay.
And what becomes apparent is that these 4 tablets are in fact a set. They do go together. But the second one, the ritual of blood and light, is rather difficult to interpret. There's a lot of idiom that you'd really need to study Sumerian to completely grasp. But it sounds like that the ritual is begun with the person reading the scroll of walking darkness, and that this renders them able to become shadow-like. Well, they become shadow-like. They're able to travel longer distances and faster in the shadows, especially at night, and that they are able to pass through things without any difficulty, as long as there's some shadow there. And but they're also able to affect things if they want to, if they will it. But the second ritual, the ritual of blood and light, is a kind of a transformation spell. And it could be interpreted that it brings you back to physical form, but it could also mean something differently. Bolethius Ginger may have had it completely wrong. What this might be saying is that it prepares that soul for transference to the source, which might be outside this universe.
Yes, Ginger might have thought the source was his body, whereas the source might be some Sumerian godhead or the clay of the earth.
The source of the magic, even.
If you want to do a Cthulhu Mythos roll,
Forgot I don't have Cthulhu Mythos.
I thought we all got 5 at the end
Did
of
we?
the last, something like that, didn't we?
well, being exposed to Yog Sothoth out there for a few minutes, yeah, I'd think that you'd have at least 5.
I rolled a 72. I can't even
Give it a
spend
shot.
luck on that.
I'm sure you want to get rid of all your luck now.
I don't even have that much.
Audrey, you're muted if you're talking. Did you drop your dice?
I didn't know where my dice were. I hadn't even opened them. All right. Oh, 6. That's got to be within the luck realm. Yeah, well, yeah, I'll spend a luck.
Yeah, there's some odd characters here that you realize look very similar to Yog Sothoth.
Yuhuthris, right. If Yuhuthris and Yog Sothoth are the same sounds, and these are phonemes that are unfamiliar, that's those characters, those marks are similar to the source.
Yeah, that's this person is prepared as a sacrifice to the god of time and space, Yog Sothoth.
Which also makes sense as to why this would be a useful thing for the ritual. So it's delightful that we've taken it out of the museum. I wonder how long it'll take Elphinstone to figure that out. He's gifted with automatic writing, but I don't think he reads a damned ancient thing. So it won't be until they get it down there that the theft has been noticed. Given what we read about the struggle against the shadow fellow before, and given that what we've spent the last 2 pots of coffee and a couple of hours translating, there is no way except the death by crow juice to return to human form that we're aware of. Does one of us want to risk attempting this ritual nevertheless in an attempt to stop things tomorrow?
How long does the ritual take?
When you're looking through it, if you have the ingredients and you've made the stuff, only about 3 rounds.
So we can have
lickety-split.
this a break glass in case of emergency.
Yes, if it's that speedy. I mean, the other fellow, the other shadow, seemed to take a little time to get used to shadow form, but we have more information than he did.
Yeah, your best guess was that he was in shadow form for almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, so a while. Becoming increasingly erratic.
And raggedy. His shadow was falling apart.
Right. Right. Well, yes, and the ingredients are all things like feathers and dust and
something. Yeah, Eye of Newton, toe of frog, but
shavings of silver, but nothing that will get on our way.
Correct.
All right. So one note for Thursday morning is to accumulate those things, and I like your idea, sort of, perhaps even literally, Patrick, having them all in a container that can be smashed or opened or whatnot.
Ingested.
And the we can safely copy this out phonetically. The spell part, the ritual, the spoken part of the ritual, so that anyone can take
Right.
shadow form. I wonder if it's possible for more than one being to be in shadow form.
Doesn't
Boy,
say you can't.
3 of those things, given the difficulty they gave our predecessors, 3 of those things would really be, unless you had very, very bright Klieg lights, or you tried to do it outside at noon. Very intimidating. The ritual is supposed to start at 7:30 or 7 tomorrow night. In June, it'll be fairly dark. Certainly in the museum, it'll only be artificial light. There'll be lots of shadow. Well, I feel better now than I have for some weeks, having interfered a little bit further.
I am rather concerned about this whole thing of sacrifice with these new tablets here.
Sacrifice in what sense?
Well, it's to prepare the shadow being that one becomes for sacrifice to Yehuthris, Yog-Sothoth.
Right. What if Nabu could force the shadow the rest of the way?
That's my worry, is that if we come in with shadow form there, that Nabu or Yog-Sothoth could force the whole situation into a sacrifice for that person. So while we might be able to have someone in shadow form come in and commit the what we need to commit, that they're still damned and might actually touch something off.
Again, if we can prevent the ascension, I think that's all we may reasonably hope for. But I understand your anxiety on that front. I did not realize we were opening up another door to that entity.
I'm wondering
Now
if there's
then.
some way. Something else has been on my mind. I've been wondering if there's some way we can't maybe do something about Elphinstone now that we know that he's part of this whole retinue.
Hardly surprising. Again, the way he snatched up the tablets after the massacre, during the massacre at the garden party. He seems to be very comfortable in the passenger seat of this wagon to Hal. I don't expect that he's going to be at his flat. I assume that he's under the protection of the Crown Prince.
Right.
Possibly.
Audrey, do an idea roll.
31 is quite good. It's a hard success.
We were reading earlier the Scroll of Endless Shadow, which was written on the guy's back. And it said something about, it was a prophecy about a man will come who knows some of the subtle arts. And that's this Yolhuthris' high priest. And you think at the moment that that's Elphinstone. That whether he was an accomplished mystic or what, he managed to stumble into the knowledge, and he seems to be close enough to Nabu that he's playing that role.
Yes, well, that's the magus that your predecessor was looking for, Mr. London, one way or another, whether or not he was always, that's our Elphinstone. I don't know how we can injure him in particular, though. Or again, whether his presence or absence is important for the ritual to take place. You know, do we shave another 30 seconds off by getting rid of him, and do we expose ourselves? These remain active questions.
I think all the players need to be in place for us to be able to take care of what we need to take care of. Any tipping of our hand ahead of time might. He could come. He's the king. He can come in with a small army, and then we'll never stop him. But if he's going with the arrogance of an evil god that nothing can stop him, he'll come in with limited resources. Excuse me. And like at the garden party, he might step it up a little, but hoping that he's so arrogant at this point that nothing can stop him, and let him keep thinking that. At least that's my view.
Well,
What
it's prophecy after all. So, and it's also worth note, I think, that at the garden party, I certainly gave away my desire to interfere, and you rather did. And it became manifest, and it didn't bother to smite us. It just did. It just went about its business, destroying souls and capturing the prince. But you're right. Anything that we do that indicates that there's an attempt to push back risks him increasing the force with which he approaches this ritual. I'm going to speak to Bast as well, if she permits it. I expected to do that at my flat, but in case there is something we learn, perhaps I should do it here.
Yeah, that would be good. We can do your thing, and we can continue reading over this. Make sure we compile the list.
I just had a mad idea, very very mad idea. Um, would if Elphinstone is in, shall we say, Buckingham Palace or one of the royal holdings and such, he would be away from his normal lair. I guess better words can be said about it, but he's away from perhaps any of those wards that were keeping the Ugalos away. Do you think perhaps they could be tried to be sent against him again?
I don't think the ward was the domicile he resided in. I think it was Naboo himself, like a area of effect around Naboo.
Yes, but if the Naboo has taken over the soon-to-be king, then Elphinstone is open. Would he be not?
I think he'd
Well,
be
it's
right on the
possible.
coattails. Sorry.
Yeah, I feel rather foolish in retrospect, thinking that I saw Elphinstone and the young lady and feeling a third party, expecting there was someone just in the next room or behind me, when in fact the third party was Naboo. So I suspect if in fact Elphinstone is waiting upon his demon lord, then he shall still be protected. But certainly if the Ugalos appear to be free and active, I mean, that's something that I would speak to the lady about. The main purpose I have in approaching her now is to bring up this matter that we had discussed, the fact that Naboo was so profoundly disrespectful in borrowing her servants as part of his ritual of initiation into our plane. I hope that she takes offense at that, not at me,
Oh,
but at him.
not to mention this Yehuthrus Yog Sothoth, whatever you want to call it, is behind all this in one way, shape, or form to give Naboo this power. It's Naboo's going to be a challenge to the lady if he gets away with this, and their threat. He
Well, I
won't
mean,
stop here. He'll go to this to her realm and challenge her and cause her difficulties. Would he not? I mean, he's a god that conquers this place. He may conquer another.
she seemed unconcerned about any encroachment and rather unconcerned about the continued existence of this plane. I certainly wouldn't present it as a threat, but I will present it as an insult. He's traipsing about rather
Maybe
shamelessly.
maybe not with Naboo, but the Yehuthrus would.
And as she wants, as she expresses some interest in reclaiming us as her followers, we certainly can't follow her if we're all slaughtered.
Very true.
Now, is there a bookshelf in here that I can clamber onto comfortably?
I'm sure there are cabinets and things that.
What were those cool sliding ladders that will take me right to the top of a hardy cabinet?
Maybe. Why not? It's a museum.
Well, no, it's a club, but it's a
It's a club.
It's a very fancy club. So that's Mr. Munden's last thought for the goddess. Do you have any thoughts, Patrick?
I know. I was
Or
just going to say
speak?
there. These are guest rooms. There would definitely be a wardrobe in here, because there's a bed and.
Well, the cabinet that we were locking things up in, for that matter, must be sturdy. And I can hop up on things so sleekly and gracefully these days.
Oh, nice.
After I've had my cream.
All right.
And so I take the eye from my bag and I clamber up on a cabinet and find a comfortable position.
Okay. Do a power roll.
11, which is a hard success.
Surprisingly, you get up there on that hard, flat surface, and you just feel incredibly comfortable all of a sudden. And a moment later, and you are on the steps before the pyramid leading up to the dais with Bast on it.
What form is she taking today?
She's the same form as before, like a cat woman lounging. And she's like, Audrey, you've returned.
Yes, my goddess. No hearts yet, but there's time for that. Or there might be if the planet survives the next 24 hours. Have you been following events on my plane?
To some extent, you have access to your own cats and others as well. They're watching you. You're planning on stopping Yolhuthris from merging with humanity.
That is what we are attempting, Great Mistress.
It's part of the thing that the Great Old One does before it consumes a world.
The merging is?
Perhaps it's a bit like I am and likes to toy with its food first. It likes to go in and pretend that it is the supreme ruler. It brings the planet to its knees. It demands its worship. But it's all before the end. The thing consumes life. But you already knew that. Yog-Sothoth is time. Time consumes all things.
Not the gods, surely.
Yog-Sothoth is older than the gods.
Does it therefore not offend you that it uses the Ugalos as part of its ceremony?
You can tell that she's upset and angry. It insults and infuriates me because he does it to show that he has mastery over all things. I don't know what I could do against it. But I can give you a strong control over the things.
Is that so, Mistress?
Ugalos. And they suddenly appear on either side. This is Audrey Leicester. You will obey her in all things to the best of your powers. And they sort of bow to her, and they bow to you. And then they vanish. Just let him see if he can control them now.
Well, I am most grateful, mistress, and I shall bend my will to see that it cannot.
But there is an aura around this Yohuthris and his high priest that you won't be able to penetrate with the Ugalos, but he won't be able to control them.
Well, all that we ask for, after all, is to make the ritual as slow as possible, so that we might act in our blunt physical way to end that merger before it becomes complete. And so their refusal should be a great help in that regard. And I already know that they can allow me to see through them.
Yes.
One of the methods that we hope to use to interfere with his power grab is another ancient Sumerian ritual, that of the walking darkness. But we fear that might give Yuhuthris power over whoever enters into that pact. Are you familiar?
I don't know of human magic. Oh, did I lose you?
No.
Oh, there you were. You were frozen for a second.
Yes, should be all right.
Do a charm roll on Bast. Or persuade. Are you frozen again? Oh,
I think I'm okay.
okay.
I only know that I'm good at intimidate. I have 25 charm. Oh, I have 40 persuade. Actually, she's more likable than I thought. 45. I think, again, I could 5 more luck points at this stage.
Well, I would need an extreme roll, actually.
Oh, I can't afford that. Fair enough. I can be ingratiating, but not that charming.
All right. I will assist you if I can.
I am, and my species are more than honored that you would even consider it. Great goddess Bastet. And I thank you again for authority over your servants for this period of time. And unless you have other requirements of me, I shall go and prepare myself for the battle.
If you survive, I would still like those hearts, you know.
If humanity exists in 48 hours, I shall have no other drive than to punish those arrogant fools in your name, goddess.
Good. And you wake up. It's been about an hour and a half.
Stretch. Has it been an hour and a half?
Yeah.
Oh, I dozed off.
There's 4 empty bottles of cognac in the room, and those 2 are asleep.
All right, what next, guys? Now it's late.
That's what I was going to ask. We should probably get some rest. Tomorrow's the day?
Tomorrow's the day. What shall we do with the tablets? Are they safest here? They're safest here. We could all reach them.
Do we need to read them if we're going to do the...
I thought we'd cobble together a phonetic version of the spell so that we could...
Well, yes, and you have to collect the stuff that you need. That'll take
Tomorrow
you.
we need to get we need to get the caterpillars and bug spray and powdered nickel.
There should be some apothecaries around.
But the goddess has offered her assistance in some limited way. I don't know how it will appear, but we have more possibility of preventing this than I ever thought we would, particularly after that nightmare at the party.
Quite.
All right. All right. So, are you going to sleep at the club?
I think we should just all stay here together.
All right.
I know it's there might
No,
be
it's
another room.
safest.
Yeah.
It's safest.
All right. You all have very troubling sleep, but for the most part, you wake up in the morning. We'll say around 8 o'clock.
London, why don't we go and grab a quick cup of tea and let Audrey get herself together, so we're not.
Right.
And then we'll meet back together and discuss.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I'll join you, gentlemen, as soon as I'm a little fresher. We have 7 hours or 11 hours. What a remarkable day it's going to be. Okay. And anything that happened? Do you guys discuss something in private before I join you?
No, but London can hear audibly praying over his tea to God to, help him on this crazy thing that he's gotten mixed up into.
You made a statement earlier that I just want to counter. Sundown in June in London is around 9 o'clock.
You're on mute.
Wow, that's super late. Oh, I guess they're norther than I am. I'm not familiar. I don't think of that, but they
Right.
are.
And it's June also, the middle of summer, the beginning of summer.
But inside the British Museum, where this temple is probably pretty.
Right.
Yeah, not next to giant windows.
No, in fact, there's no windows where the Temple of Naboo is. It's building built inside of the building.
So I think we're gonna need to hit whatever, I don't know, London, but whatever the equivalent of Chinatown would be to get the ingredients, because more than likely that's where we would find it.
That seems very reasonable.
Maybe we could even pick up some firecrackers or not TNT, but gunpowder, color, the things that go up into the sky. Maybe throw some
Fireworks.
of those in the sack. Yeah, but the shell, I don't know the exact shell, I guess, yeah. Throw some of those in the bag, anything to cause chaos.
Right. So I guess the question is, do we have so many things to do that we need to divide ourselves, or do we just all take a cab to Chinatown, buy an eye of newt and some lamb's blood? And how do we want to go about putting the explosives in the temple?
Well, we should still have access to the museum for a few hours in the day before.
Certainly up to noon, they shouldn't be bothering us at all, really.
Well, we could pick up attaché cases or leather book bags or whatever.
The temple walls that have been reconstructed, they're stone that was shipped over.
Correct.
And I assume that that's buttressed by plaster that's on lathe, that's on wooden supports. Like, it's not freestanding. It's got to be something like a stage set behind it. Everything's got to be attached to something so it doesn't just topple over on passersby.
Right.
I'm just wondering what the back of it looks like. But we would know whatever it is.
Right, right.
So if there's sandbags, for example, we could put some things into a sandbag. We want something that looks like it belongs.
The stones of the temple have been reconstructed. It's not necessarily thin walls. It's fairly thick, so it stands up pretty well by itself. But I'm sure there's rebar and reinforcements they've installed so that it can't fall. But it probably looks pretty good from both sides.
I think what he's getting at is that there would be some sort of an object that we could replace with something loaded with fireworks and or bullets.
Yeah,
or
whatever infrastructure we're familiar with. It could even be things, they're probably on the far, because it's true, you're right. I mean, it might look good it might be on display on both sides of the wall, at least on part of it. to show this is the exterior of the temple and this is the interior.
Sure.
But there must be also parts that are
There's also a roof.
behind the curtain.
I mean, there's a
it has a ceiling.
It has a ceiling on the temple. That's the original too. You can't see on the top, but it's there. There
Right.
would certainly be places where you could put explosives on the ceiling that nobody would even notice during the daytime, unless a worker went up there for some reason.
And given that it wasn't meant to be open for some months, there's scaffolding around that whole construction, at least on a side or two.
Right.
So that's what we need, is access to that scaffolding. And again, inconspicuous looking things like sandbags, which we will have access to in the museum basement.
Now it seems like what they're working on is more of the museum trappings around the temple. The temple is more or less complete at this point.
So maybe all three of us should have a duplicate satchel. If we had a couple grenades, we had a couple whatever. That way, if when the three of us are walking in, if two of us get stopped or something, there's at least one duplicate satchel being placed in there. If not all of them. But worst case, one could be dropped while the others distract in case somebody comes running up. You know what I mean?
The question then I have is, how do we ignite them when the time comes?
One of us would have to. We can't just leave a big fuse hanging, but
We can't count on even being on the floor when the time comes. It has to be something that is this is not an area of expertise. I've been putting things together my entire life, not taking them apart.
We'd also have to figure out how we're observing this whole thing so we can strike at the right time.
Well, that, gentlemen, is why I'm afraid that one of you is going to be...
the Oculus.
Yes. The goddess granted me more authority over the Ugalos than I had before. So I should at least be able to see through them as I did previously.
Yes.
And also, as long as I can maintain a sense of self, I might be able to prevent them from following the orders of Euhuthris. But that means I cannot be the shadow figure. And I assume it's going to be a shadow figure that needs to detonate these devices.
Right. So, Munden, you or I, shortest straw or?
One minute. Something in the back of my head's telling me that we might not need to be a I just have another mad idea. Oh, so mad it might work. Maybe I could, shall we say, talk my way in?
I'm up for anything at this point.
I could speak with our dear friend who's setting this up for the king.
Yes, Mr. Whitehead didn't seem to want to talk to you before, but...
Well, he's familiar with me, and he knows that I'm here helping out with stuff, and perhaps...
it's also worth noting that you weren't at the garden party, whereas Patrick and I were.
Quite so.
Elphinstone's going to be there, and Elphinstone saw us both.
He doesn't
but he doesn't know you from Adam.
That's correct. And nothing says that I might not be able to make my way in, and then when the time's right, light the fuse, pull the grenade.
All you need to do is pull the grenade. We could even have the satchel set up with something sticking out the top. You pull that, it pulls the pins, thus igniting everything.
Grenade goes off, any kind of explosive that's there is going to go.
Yep. So if we put like a twine, secure the grenade in the bottom of the bag, have a piece of twine sticking out the top, you pull that, everything goes. You got about 3 seconds to jump.
Quite.
then I would be on standby with or just read it and become the shadow.
Audrey, would it be possible to have the Ugalos be able to pull one of the grenades?
I couldn't tell you. They're not terribly verbal, and if they're excluded from the space the way they were when they were sent to attack Elphinstone, it might be that they simply can't enter. It's so I don't have the information to anticipate that.
Well, if
I
we're
will
able to
say
put,
that I'd like to get some very interesting soup at Chinatown, because it might be
Yes.
the last day there is a Chinatown.
for
Um,
all of us.
Audrey, what you feel is that the Ugalos are not really intelligent things. They're beasts that you send
Yeah,
to
they're
kill
forces of
things.
rage.
Right.
Yeah, asking them to type a telegram would be all but impossible.
Yeah.
And possibly even the
Quite.
conceptual leap of pulling a string to blow something up, where they just want to go.
They'd want to, if you told them to destroy the bag, they'd destroy the bag.
Not only might there not be a Chinatown, there might not be a China. So yeah, let's just enjoy and then destroy. Bird's nest soup.
Never tried it. What is it?
I believe
we
it's what it
told-
sounds like.
If we
There's
really
also that-
told you, you wouldn't eat it.
There's also
Oh.
that new Black Dragon restaurant with the Cho opened.
Nice.
I hear they have remarkably succulent meats.
Well, perhaps bird's nest soup in the meat platter.
All right.
There we go.
So you go out for your last meal feeling remarkably good about yourselves, even though the world's about to end, possibly. Now this is still daytime, still morning.
Well, because we're going to try to get the, we ideally want to have ingredients for 3 separate Shadow Walker.
The formula is
spells.
pretty simple. So you find the stuff you need. A few of the pieces are not things that you would normally pick up, but you find them. You can make 3 doses, sure.
And then fireworks for 3 bags. What else?
You know,
May
that-
have,
we-
some extra, may have some extra fireworks as a diversion. Elsewhere in the museum, at the very least, take out some of the gods.
honestly, the last thing I want is to set off explosives in the museum with its priceless artifacts. But today,
Well,
a couple of Roman candles pointed at the Etruscans might keep
Well, at least-
unwanted parties out of the way.
Well, at least something to divert. We don't necessarily have to point them towards artifacts.
Everything's an artifact in there, but
I
I
wouldn't.
wouldn't want to scorch a cornice, but better than having the earth flattened.
Yes,
Exactly.
quite.
A couple of priceless artifacts or one priceless world.
Quite so.
I wonder if the ascendant Nabu Yog Sothoth would stay there make it his throne, the temple, or whether he'll go straight back to the palace and rule from there, or just sweep across the earth with pestilence and death in his wake. I don't know.
You said something about your goddess referring to him as time. Time eats away and erodes everything. Everything might just turn to ash or dust or...
Yeah. It's also, it opens a gate and it comes through a gate and it is a gate. So it could just put holes all over everything and let space fall through. Who knows? I know it'll be a nightmare. I know that just what happened at the garden party is more horrible than anything I thought the earth could survive.
Oh, just had another mad idea. Perhaps we should stop by the butcher's to see if they have any, as our predecessors had colloquially called it, crow juice. just in case if we need to deal with some kind of shadow entity, even if it's not, unfortunately, one of us.
Well, again, it's in the notes. They talked about going to a butcher, but no butcher they found in London sold crow.
That's odd
I
because
think
I've
you've got
heard
to
that they.
juice them yourself.
Mm,
I think they only make pies out of them in fairy tales, nursery rhymes.
yes, I was aware that the crow was eaten quite frequently by the lower classes.
Oh, I thought eating crow was purely a colloquialism.
Butchers don't sell animals dripping with blood either. So,
Hmm.
All right, they drain them first as a rule. It's less
Yes.
sticky.
Well, we should get to the museum, try and place these things. If we have time, we could go to a local park and catch a crow. I don't exactly know how it would
Didn't your
work.
Felix hit one with a stone?
Yes, from what I understood, he had a pretty good arm, though.
Yeah, maybe the idea was a little bit too bad. We shouldn't be wasting time with crows.
Well, first, yeah, now that we've gotten the ingredients and a belly full of soup, let's see what the situation is at the museum. We're counting on explosives that we haven't placed yet.
Correct.
We need to figure out where we're going to put everything.
Climb back into the chatting wagon and head on over to the local museum.
all right. When you get to the museum, there's quite a lot of bustle going on. They're getting everything prepped for the king's arrival. Well, I should say that this morning the coronation goes on. So there's a whole bunch of ritual stuff going on. There's people lining the streets. The king or the Prince Edward, goes in the royal carriage to the Westminster Abbey. I don't know how it actually happens, but all of that stuff is going on. So the world in Europe is kind of distracted at the moment. There's also rumors that the King George has taken seriously ill. So perhaps it's a good thing that he's abdicating or has abdicated. So you're able to just walk in. I mean, nobody pays any attention to you because they're too busy doing their jobs.
So let's head for that. Is there multiple entrances to that? It's like a gallery, one entrance and one exit, possibly?
You're referring to where the temple is?
Correct.
There's just one. Everybody goes through. You go down kind of a hallway, and there are these gigantic winged, looks like lions with human heads on them.
There's probably a staff stairway, though, somewhere inside that. Like the one Felix kept trying to sneak down.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So I was thinking we could split up and each come at a different angle. If
I want to take effort. Sorry. Yeah, I want to take effort to not be seen with them, to keep up the ruse that I'm not connected.
Okay. Well,
and the museum's mostly open despite the recent explosion. Like that area is closed, but the library is certainly open, and the museum's also significantly open.
Yeah, they're trying to pretend like nothing happened, but I mean it's obvious. There's damaged areas, but they want to keep going. The museum doesn't stop. However, the whole Assyrian wing, it's not officially open yet, so it's pretty much closed off. Munden wouldn't be able to get into that area unless he went around the back with you guys.
Yeah, no one's going to see you, Islwin. So, I mean, with us, not particularly, and people around have been used to seeing you anyway. So, my inclination is to pop up the back way, look for things that look like we can replace them with explosives, like sandbags or whatever other paraphernalia is behind the walls. That we probably, again, have multiple burlap sacks like that in the cellar, or multiple wooden cases like that in the cellar. And we can go to the workshop downstairs and pack up our goodies and place 2 or 3 of them inconspicuously. So unless someone gets in the way,
Right.
that would be my move.
How many grenades did we have? Was it 4 or?
4 sounds about right. He didn't have a giant arsenal, Felix, but he had some stuff. A little bit of dynamite.
We should keep 1 in case we need to blast our way into, if we can't get in. So 3 inside, 1 on one of us if we need to just put it in the door jamb and pull the pin, you know?
Yes, the regrettable but possible direct action. Mm-hmm.
All right.
So did
I like the rooftop idea. I like putting stuff on the roof, but any of the temple walls, especially anything that's thin or, behind a column that looks like it would fall toward the dais, I think we're aiming our destruction toward the dais.
And that altar that they're putting in there.
Well, the same thing. Yeah, that's what I mean.
I would like each of you to do a luck roll, and I want at least a hard or better.
27 out of 54.
I got you 17 out of 48.
Okay.
That's just a hard. Yeah.
So, Audrey, you realize that there are a few places kind of in the display cases, in the room, in the temple itself, that they're just hollow on the bottom,
Are these like glass cases that are set up to show things that would have been?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They look like they're made out of stone on the bottom, but they've been painted to look that way.
Mm-hmm.
And the top of them is actually glass with some artifact, so that people can't grab it. And oddly enough, it's the artifacts that are not important to the ritual,
Just stuff that looks neat for tourists.
Right. The parts that are essential to the ritual should go in the niches, but some of the niches have other things in them because they don't have those artifacts. They don't have the Eye of Hamatsu, and they don't have the Horn of Alu.
Right. Okay. Are there 3 of those? Let's do 2 of those and 1 on the roof. That's what I would move, gentlemen. Pointing out these, this nice little X by X foot flimsy thing in the room.
Sounds good.
Can we train could we train a string to the other side of the wall to activate those without being in the temple? If there was a grenade in that? Presumably they're up against the temple wall, but it might be hard to get a string or something through that.
Right, because it's pretty much a stone wall. I think that, theoretically there would be a way that you could thread it through a crack between blocks to the outside. The problem is that you couldn't do it without drawing a tremendous amount of attention to why are you guys on your hands and knees threading a string through,
Perhaps
Yeah, that's not casual attention.
May have somewhere through the back where we can actually not even be seen, and maybe have.
No, there's work people all over the place, and in fact, there's more in the back now because they're cleaning up all the scaffolding and stuff, so that it looks good. Even if they're not finished with certain things, they don't want that just sitting there. But there's still a lot of it up.
We're probably doing a lot of like pointing and nodding and looking at clipboards.
The best you could do is you could rig it up underneath a display case that if you were there, you could reach around behind it and pull a string or pull the pin. I'm not sure that the whole pulling the string on the pin works very well. I think it's rather hard to get the the pin out of a grenade.
Right, because you're supposed to grip it at the same time.
Right.
Right. That's why I
There's
was
two
saying
parts.
if we tied it to the bottom of the satchel, so it's essentially has like we duct tape, but we don't have duct tape, so we would use twine to wrap it to the very bottom of the binding of the bottom of the satchel. So it's essentially held in place. So with the weight of all the other stuff in there, we're pulling up on the string, thus pulling the pin out of the grenade. It's like holding it.
I'd make you do a pretty serious roll to see if the string snaps.
Yeah, we have heavy twine. It's not like a piece of thread. A piece of box, that you would wrap around the packages.
There'd still be a fairly decent chance that it
Yeah.
would fail, though.
Oh, all right.
True.
It's tricky. Well, perhaps we only put one on the inside and leave two without. One on the inside, one on the roof, and one of us carries one on us. If, for the sake of argument, for example, let's say I'm in my office talking to the Ugalos. One of you is effectively become a shadow figure, and one of you is the failsafe who's got a grenade in a hand and a backpack full of boomsticks, so that if all else fails and we know that there's no more time, we can just go brute force. We have 3 levels of attempt. I mean, again, I've never plotted an assassination before.
Well, there are a few other things also to consider in your plan. If I'm in a room and there's a grenade in a box over there and the grenade goes off, does it necessarily kill me? If it's on the roof, sitting on the roof, and it goes off, does it necessarily bring down the ceiling, or does it just blast
Upward.
Yeah.
My thought was to stash the bags, be able to pull the pin with fireworks and bullets and all the other crap in it, and we would throw the bag at Naboo.
So you'd have to be in the temple.
Yeah.
That would work if you
I
could get
didn't
into the
think we
temple
were-
with a bag of explosives.
That's why I was asking how we could get in. If there was like, hey, can one of us just go up and lay on the roof?
That might work.
Because Munden, if you would rather be the spirit thing, I'll take all the bags and go up there. Throw one down on them. If it doesn't get them, I'll just hold the other one and jump on them. I mean, I said it before, I don't picture myself walking out of this anyway. Not like I want to kill myself, but I'll throw the first bag at them and pull the pin, let the bag drop. If it doesn't kill them, I'll jump on top of them with the second. Well, I mean, after
Is there anything like a skylight? Or is the roof
No.
a solid slab?
Well, it's not a solid. Well, the roof you mean in the temple is a solid slab.
Right.
It's not a slab, it's pieces, but it's
Yeah.
still.
It's an unbroken ceiling. There's no.
Right.
The only reason I say
This
that
is my first regicide.
Yeah. I'm not
Yes.
too knowledgeable in magic, and I don't know if I'd be able to control myself once I'm in shadow form. I know I would have the guts to pull a pin and jump on a king.
Now, what did you just say that you wouldn't know? But Bolethius Ginger managed to pull off a number of heists right after he had transformed for a few days,
right.
in fact.
Yeah, he was even specifically choosing artifacts.
Right.
So he was able to read in shadow form, and he did get reckless, but considering that you'll be brand spanking new shadow being.
That was me trying to rationalize in player knowledge, saying I have a very low POW score. So,
Oh, good heavens. And what do we do until 7 o'clock, even when we place these things?
Well, if I'm going to stay on the roof, I need to get up there and lay there now. It's not like I'm going to be able to sneak in later.
We should pick up a sandwich and something to urinate in.
Good call.
I wish there was some way we could be in conversation. I don't think I can send the Ugalos to give you any sign other than, which wouldn't be very helpful. I would rather not see you shredded. But you won't need. You'll be present.
The thing is, how will I know when they're vulnerable?
Well, you'll hear an incantation, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were other manifestations that were quite obvious if you were nearby.
Is there some sort of gate that's going to open?
That's how it's described. I don't know how physically literal
The
that
shadow
is.
gate, yes. That all the ritual has to be done, and then before the shadow gate opens.
Can we, before I go up there and stay for the time, can we get a small hand shaving mirror and maybe hook it to a stick? I mean, I don't want to watch them the whole time, but when I hear some sort of, maybe it's silent, maybe it'll make some noise, like a whoa, 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 and I could just tilt like they did in the Great War.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yes, you can do that, but I'm not sure that you'll have a vantage point where you can see what's going on in the temple while you're on the roof.
Well, if I crawled to the edge and put the little hand mirror over the edge to see, I don't know.
It might be too far to see. The hand mirror would be too small for you to.
It's just a thought. Yes.
I just had another mad idea.
You have lots of mad ideas.
You have only mad ideas.
Especially now, everything's madness, but hear me out. Why not? Audrey uses the Ugalos to see what's going on and the right time to strike. We have someone outside the temple hidden. Her and one other hidden. Maybe one on the roof too, if necessary. And when the Ugalos let Audrey know that something is going to happen, or it's the right time to strike, then one person nearby with her goes off and sets off a distraction, getting rid of as many of the gods as possible, having them go off to see what's going on. That leaves less gods, and then the other person who may be hiding up on the roof and can come down somehow, or find out there's some way to slips in and tosses the satchel.
I see where you're going with this. I was thinking the Ugalos could take out the guards that are outside the door. Unfortunately, they must die. Could Audrey fit in the pedestal underneath? I know it would be very uncomfortable for... No? Okay.
Not designed for human accommodation, I fear. I've had a thought. Regarding your point, Mr. Munden, we know that the king is coming with Elphinstone and a guard. Presumably Whitehead will be there as well to pontificate. We don't know who's going to be mounted outside or inside, or the distraction will be necessary. But regarding the problem of setting off an explosive, I wonder if either of you gentlemen know the first thing about electrics. Because if we replaced one of these lights that we had a switch to with something, we might be able to do a great deal more damage at a distance by flipping a switch from behind the wall than we'd have any opportunity to do from within. And there have to be all sorts of recessed lights and things in here because it's a temple within a building. I just don't know anything about the electrics.
Knowledgeable myself.
You are or not?
I'm not.
That's a pity.
That's a brilliant idea, Audrey. But something popped into my head. If the guards are taken out or anything, if we act before he's vulnerable, the king's guards will automatically will take him to safety, even at the king's refusal to leave. They will automatically pick him up and bring him to safety.
Yeah, certainly. That's the sort of thing where they hustle a figure out of the way before anyone can discuss it further. Quite.
Yep. Even if he orders them to stop, they won't, because it's their sworn duty to protect the king.
Yeah, so no warning shots across the bow, no distractions, just one. The swiftest and surest strike we can manage.
You do have a point.
So the gate must be opened, and then we must strike. Crap. Yeah, I still think. Can all of us just stay on the roof, and we're all three of us in the room already? Is that why are we not thinking that? Only one of us could. I just thought of that.
My only concern regarding that is that if one of us is found, we're all found. Some jackanape climbs a ladder, shines a flashlight around, and says, "Oh, who are you fellows?" And then, we're in the Huskow, and they take the cat's eye opal away from. They use it in the ritual. We've doubled things up. I think it's pretty important that we be dispersed. I could be mistaken.
I don't know at this point. I
can still potentially gain entry with working my way in with Whitehead.
Well, we have time. Why don't you attempt that now? And if he tells you that's absurd, then we revisit this. But you gain entry that way. If you can't, we'll figure out another plan. I should still stay on the roof, or Audrey, or whoever. I just think I'm willing to dive on the king with a bag of stuff.
Now, when our predecessors stayed on this level as the temple was being constructed overnight, I believe we learned that the floors were solid with marble tile on them. The ceilings were high.
Correct.
There are no immediate windows. I'm wondering what's above the temple as it's constructed, if anything. Is it 20 feet and then a solid ceiling? Are there windows in something, or?
The ceiling is only about 10 feet or so above the temple.
Mm-hmm.
Do a luck roll.
36. My rolls have been excellent. That's a normal success.
Yeah, there might in fact be vents in numerous places around the roof. Not exactly like in movies.
Right.
But
not something one can comfortably shoulder one's way down.
Well, maybe a little bit. Maybe there are places actually where you could get in and hide, and if somebody, as you say, shined a flashlight right up there, they wouldn't see anything at all. And then once the whole thing started, you could slide out onto the roof. Just be a matter of dropping down. Nobody would hear you. You could jump on that roof and nobody in the inside would hear it. It's solid.
Right, with one person talking inside that echoing chamber in this large room.
Right.
A human landing on stone from 10 feet or 6 feet sliding down is nothing.
Right.
You
also, since you'd be up higher, your vantage point looking out the vent would be 10 feet higher than the roof. You could probably see right down into the foyer of the, in other words, what I'm imagining is, let's say I'm walking into the museum. I go into the museum, I head towards the Assyrian wing. I go into the entrance to the Assyrian wing. There's the two big giant statues of the winged lions and lion men. And then there's the temple that's been built with, it probably has some sort of ornate front on it. And there's a doorway and the roof is up there, I could probably see the people coming between the lions before they even go into the temple, because that's where they would have to come from. Yeah. So you'd see when they went in, and you'd see when they were in, when they were done going in.
Yes. So so that might mean if we have one willing bombardier, Patrick, one difficult to capture shadow figure, Mr. Munden, and one set of watchful eyes with me and the Ugolos, we could have a lot of information in order to act swiftly and violently in concert.
You could also, the person on the roof could drop from his vantage point down to the ground. It would be about a 20-foot drop, but he could drop right where the entrance is, right in front of the entrance.
And that prevents, and that offers a great deal more in terms of blast radius than blowing something up on top of the stone roof.
As long as he doesn't break his legs or anything.
As long as it can pull the trigger once he does, even.
Could a rope be tied to the roof access? Can a rope be tied and kind of, even if you put a pair of gloves and slid down, yeah, you'd still gunk up your hands a bit, but you wouldn't break your legs or back.
You'd have to go up there and research that. I don't know why there would be anything that you could tie something to up there, but
the window frame.
the window, there's no windows.
What?
It's like a vent. It's like a
vent.
It's
Like an air
vent.
conditioning
HVAC
vent.
sort of thing.
All right.
Maybe if you trace something through it, but I mean, this might be the time that we experimented on finding access to that vent, if it seems, a useful activity.
All right. All right, so let's give you this, that you spend the next hour or so looking like you're busy doing things, but in fact you're scoping out the temple. And in fact, you see exactly that. You see that there's a vent that you might be able to get up to. Once you're on the roof of the temple, a couple of steps, and nobody is going to observe you up there. They might catch a glimpse of you when you're going in, if you're really unlucky. But otherwise, you could be in there. Or you could try to get to that vent opening from another vent opening in the building. That would be a little bit more tricky. Take some navigation. You could drop down in front, but there's a chance you're going to sprain your leg or injure yourself, whether that matters at that point to you or not.
Now, can we find out if all of the scaffolding is being taken down, or?
Ultimately, it's going to all be taken down.
All right. Because I'm a rotund man. I don't think I could be crawling through vents.
Oh, that's right.
I could climb into it and stay there, but I'm not getting through a whole ductwork.
Or you could risk just getting up on the roof and nobody finding you.
I'm small enough to go into dark work.
Well, if you can't, I mean, if I jumped up there and then climbed into the vent and waited, it's fine. But you still need to see if you can't deal with them directly. You might have your ultimate in. That needs
True.
to be played out first before.
Quite.
I don't think we should depend upon the trusting nature of Mr. Whitehead, let alone the potential of Mr. Elphinstone showing up to find out whether Mr. Munden can get access, particularly with a sack full of explosives on him.
True.
The first wrong word or mistaken impression, and we lose one of our three parties.
I agree. You're right.
If Whitehead had welcomed you with open arms and said, "Brother, please come and see me the night after next when I show the king around," but there's going to be, it's a new king. We can't count on anything other than suspicion.
So if it's supposed to, if it's supposed to be a visit, should there not be someone there to guide the king and explain the whole situation with the?
That's Whitehead's job.
That's
Whitehead was
Whitehead.
hired by him.
Yeah.
Yes, but Whitehead doesn't know all this stuff, does he?
But that's
He
why
should.
that's why he was hired.
Right, and the king.
They didn't
doesn't
come to
know.
us for expertise. They went to Whitehead
Whitehead's
because
been
he's
been setting up stuff. What if I come in on the pretext that the museum that I'm part of the museum and that I'm there to
but you aren't.
guide.
And all they have to do is say no. I think we're dealing with subterfuge here, not with
Yeah.
charm.
I
I
do have
mean-
a way of getting in with people. I mean, I could try.
If you thought that you could try, and if it failed, you could become a shadow person,
If I have
then
to.
I accept it. But if you try and they throw you into the hooskow and take away your shadow scroll and your eye of newt, then we're on our own. And you're
Yeah.
sitting
Hmm.
passively while the world ends.
Yeah, I need to concur with Leicester on that.
Hmm.
Again, if Whitehead had welcomed you with open arms before, it would be one thing. But I
Well, he was
I
rather
think-
indifferent with me. I mean, I could.
think we're considering everyone adversarial until we learn otherwise.
Yes.
And they brought Whitehead in for a reason. They could have asked Campbell Thompson. They could have asked Patrick. Both of them have
Well,
more
that's the thing.
knowledge than Whitehead does. So they chose Whitehead for a reason.
Hmm.
And that's because he's some kind of stooge.
Well, not only that, if shall we say, Naboo has popped out of the king for a while the ceremonies are going on and is manipulating Whitehead, which it seems to me.
Right. Why did Whitehead seem so confident if he, yes.
Yes, Whitehead
Yeah,
was not acting normal.
I think we want to stay as far from that fellow as we can.
Hmm. That complicates things even more.
Again, no one said Regicide was easy. Sorry, Patrick.
True as that.
So, unless Mr. Munden, you were perfectly understandably unwilling to become a shadow walker at risk of mortal peril, if that's the case, quite understandably, we can make different
It's-
arrangements.
I want to put this as a backup more than a primary. In the fact that as we talked about it before, that what if being the shadow person is exactly what Yehuthris needs, and you just present them with an opportunity, you might actually, and if there's a failing in taking out the king with Yehuthris in him, then you've just given an opportunity as opposed to.
Well, if the last of the Children of Tranquility were correct, if we failed to take out the king during the transition, it's giving him one more candy is irrelevant. It's the end of life on this sphere.
How many attempts? I mean, we might have a chance at more than one attempt.
Well, I think that the shadow is the last. The Ukalos are mostly eyes under the circumstances. On the physical plane, I guess we're going for 3 planes. Bastet herself agreed that she would make an effort to intercede, but she wasn't specific about what that would mean. She granted B as much control over the Ugalos as is available, which, by the way, regarding guards outside the door might come into play because they are ruthless and swift killers. If it comes to, for example, one of you rushing in with an explosive,
They could take out the guards while
that's a
someone comes
possibility.
in.
It would
But
have to
mostly the
be-
way I'm thinking of it is that the Ugalos are non-physical observers, and I will be observing and able to
Well, when the time
suggest
is,
action. And Patrick's role is the most brute, attempting to physically get in there and
well, that's the thing. We
blow
said
things up.
when the
And
time
you're
is
in
right.
the interim zone, the semi-physical thing
Mhm.
that might be able to go and strike the final blow. It's hard to stop because of your potential non-physical, non-corporeal nature,
Mhm.
but only if that's something you prefer to do.
I'd rather only do it as a final last resort. I'm not saying I'm not willing. I'd rather do it as a last resort if we could get away with things without having to resort to that. Because
I simply don't believe that the first resort can be, hi, I kind of am friends with some museum people. Let me go in with the king and show you around. I think that's a very difficult thing to convince anyone of.
quite.
Well, and even without an idea of rules, you realize the king has absolutely no interest in being shown around.
Indeed, he knows the temple all too well in his current condition.
Yes.
Yes,
Perhaps Ugalos keep an eye on the thing on the situation when the time's right. They inform you, you inform them to strike at the gods, and someone rushes in and, I hate to say it, forwardly tosses a grenade with the fireworks,
Mhm.
and then we take it from there. If they're still standing, then we make a further attempt, and if that further attempt means that I have to recite that dreadful tablet, I will do that.
Well, my impression, Mr. Munden, is that you perhaps might be more comfortable on the roof with explosives in that role. And if that's the
Yes.
case, I
That's-
assume, Mr. Longton, that you are
I'll become the shadow. It's
and you'll forgive me, you are a portly gentleman. Being swift and traveling through walls might be a delightful change of pace for you.
yeah, that's quite all right.
So if we
I
accept those three roles, then it's just a matter of preparing our explosives, yes?
We have enough just in case that if I can make it out there and we fail, that I too can become a shadow person and try.
Right. It's true. So,
Right.
do we want to stash one of the explosive devices in that vent?
If he's going to be in the vent, then yes, because the scaffolding will be down. We won't have access to it unless he's going to start in the vent to begin with.
All right.
Gentlemen, we have a plan. God save the Queen.
All right.
King will surely be gone.
So we're going to assume then that Bunton gets stashed in the vent with a bag of explosives. All right. Patrick and Audrey, what are you guys going to do during this time?
Now, am I to, once the king goes in and everything, am I going to read it and become the shadow right away?
You tell me.
I was talking with Audrey.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think that we we'll all synchronize our watches. I saw that in a film. You and I will be in probably your office
Right.
as we approach the hour. I suggest, although I admit gives me a certain degree of dread, I suggest that you assume the shadow form perhaps at 6 o'clock to give you a little time to accustom yourself to what it means to move about. And, you can pick something up and show us that you're active and find out what it's like to move in shadows.
Okay.
And we'll know that you're active and that hasn't, simply been a
Backfire.
a dead end. We mistranslated something, or we want to make sure that I think that works. And then perhaps a half an hour before the king's supposed to arrive, I'll be in contact with the Ugalos, or maybe around the same time that you take the spell.
All right.
And then we'll be able to, if things go to plan, Mr. Munden will know that things are afoot because you'll strike in the temple, right? Swinging through the walls and...
Right. Once the gate is open, and maybe I could even stay in the shadows.
Once the ceremony begins, we don't necessarily want to wait for the gate to open. There's some uncertainty about that, but once the ceremony is underway, we'll take action and see. I'd ideally like to see the scrolls appear, because my impression from the last of the children is that if we can grab the scrolls, we have the best opportunity for preventing the transition.
Now, we would have to check, but what actions would I be able to take as a shadow? Would I be able to pick up stuff? Would I be able to pull a pin on a grenade?
He stole things, he opened windows, he knocked people down.
So
yes, he was able to pick up the tablets, as I recall reading.
Yeah.
You could rush in there with a bag of explosives and
he
set
beat
it
the
off.
crap out of people. So
yeah.
So
And he was very strong too.
you guys might not need to sacrifice yourself.
And we might be able to bring you back if all goes.
I'm saying. So Munden could be in the vent as a emergency, or even drop down to the ceiling. But if I blow him up and he could get away, maybe one of you and you can get away too, then I could just meet you wherever, and I don't have to evaporate into wherever the hell I'll be going.
It's even possible that if the ceremony is interrupted at the right time, the Ugalos can attack.
Correct.
Yes.
It's a matter of what is corporeal and what's incorporeal, and mysteries beyond our ken. But with a little preparation and with 3 modes of attack, we have a chance at saving
the world.
All right. Well, this is our preparation. Next week when we play, we're going to be 20 minutes to arrival. So, or more or less. So we know where Munden's going to be. Patrick, you're going to become a shadow thing. But where are you going to be? In your office?
I think we're both going to be in Patrick's office.
All right.
With the door locked.
And Audrey, what are you going to try to do? Oh, you're going to try to use the Ugalos to see what's going on.
Yeah, to watch, advise, and perhaps attack if given the opportunity.
All right, so you have a solid plan. That's what we'll play out next week. When we play, do you have anything else you want to do before that? Okay. Last cup of coffee or tea?
Well, again, we're going to definitely make sure that this little one has some lemonade, some brandy, and something to piss into, so that he doesn't have an unpleasant surprise in the ventilation system.
Yeah, that would be rather nasty.
Probably reading a Bible, even though.
All right. Yeah. Our players included David Gassaway, Ford Fitch, and Jason Nolanchuk, with myself as the keeper of the secrets. We're currently producing up to 4 shows a week, with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. The costs involved with the show are provided almost entirely by our patrons. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. If you'd like to support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch that bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure in the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.